Morai v'Rabotai, I will start with a very short story, but a very interesting and touching one. One of the rabbis in Europe who is learning in one of the groups that Rabbi Livnat is teaching got one day a visitor. A lady from his city in Europe came to him and she is telling the rabbi, Rabbi, I'm Jewish, my children are Jewish, I want, please accept us as members in your congregation. Rabbi said, you are more than welcome. What about your husband? No, my husband is a Gentile, he don't want to be Jewish, only me and my children. Okay, the rabbi is asking her, how do you know that you are Jewish? She said, 100% I'm Jewish. I feel Jewish, I know that I belong to this nation, and I want to be a part of your congregation. The rabbi was a little astonished. It's a rare situation that somebody like this is coming to be a part of the congregation, and he asked her, do you have any proof that you are Jewish? She said no. But my grandmother, she is a survivor. She was in the camps in the Second World War, and she went out as a survivor, and she decided, and no one can judge her, to cut everything which makes any connection between her and the Jewish nation. She didn't want to keep her name, she didn't want her memories, she didn't want any of her descendants to be in touch with the Jewish nation. So she destroyed every evidence, every proof which make any connection between her and the Jewish nation. So the rabbi told her, you know, your story is touching, but I need something to touch, a document. Give me the name of the village of your grandmother. We will go to the archive there and we will find a way to connect you to us. She answered, I asked her, and she told me, what such a crazy granddaughter I have. You're stupid. I told you I don't want any connection to these people. Enough. She will not help in anything, and she will not give us any hint regarding her past. The rabbi was embarrassed, and he told her, you know, I would like to help you, I want to help you, but I need something. Even to convert her and her children we can't, because her husband is a Gentile, and no one of Orthodox rabbi will convert a lady which is still married to a non-Jewish husband. So she went home. After some months, she came back with a document. What was the document? A page from a lab. She made what we call mtDNA test. And now I will explain what is mtDNA test. We know that one of the biggest achievements of science in our generation is to map the human genes. We're speaking about a huge number of genes that every man and woman in the world have their specific combination of genes which makes this person unique and different from others. All this information is inside the cell, which is the basic part of everything. But there is a small group of genes which is bigger than regular genes. Why it's bigger? It's a long story. It's a very interesting one. But because they are much bigger, and their challenge in the body is to take food and to make from the food energy. This is the task of the mtDNA part in our body. So where the body is keeping this information, in the mitochondria of the cell. It's not inside, and there in the mitochondria, in the evrons of the mitochondria, there is the place for the mtDNA information, genes. And now, something very interesting. Every man and woman is their special and unique DNA apart from the father and apart from the mother. But mtDNA is going from one generation to the next generation only via the mothers. Why? Because the most smallest cell in the body of everyone, of every man, is the sperm. This is the smallest one. The biggest cell of human is the egg of the mother. When we are speaking regarding pregnancy, the sperm cannot hold the mtDNA information because there is no enough space inside the sperm for it. So it's sitting on the tail of the sperm. But the tail have no any influence on the next child. It's going and it's not disappearing. So the information of mtDNA is coming from one generation to the next generation only via the mothers. Okay. Now let's go to the next step. Some professors all over the world, one of the most important of the members of the group is Professor Karl Sikorsky from the Technion in Haifa.
Originally from Toronto.
Oh, I didn't know.
From this area.
Okay, you know, it's a small Jewish world. And he found something very, very interesting. He found that 40% of the Ashkenazi Jews in Europe have a special group of mtDNA in their bodies, men and women, both. And this lady, which we spoke about her, she came with the test that she did regarding her mtDNA, and she belongs to this 40%. So now, the rabbi in Europe sent to Shuk B'Maria Bazak a question: can I, the rabbi, depend on such a proof to accept a family to my congregation? Okay? Like every question, we made a brainstorm in our Bet Midrash, and you will see immediately the results, but before. We understood that we are not speaking about one lady, or one lady and some children. We are dealing now with a national problem. Today in Israel, we have more than 300,000 of men and women who came from the former Soviet Union, which are all of them Israeli citizens, but without any religion. They are not Christians. They are not Jewish. Because they have no proofs that they are Jewish. But the big majority of them, more than 90%, are coming from Jewish families. About some of them we know for sure that the father is Jewish. But halachically it's not enough. And unfortunately, I don't like to say things like this, but this is the truth. The state of Israel and the chief rabbinate of Israel is not doing enough to solve the problem. And this is something which can risk the future of the state of Israel. Assimilation can be a big danger in Israel if we will not solve the problem. And the rabbinic courts for conversion is not a solution, unfortunately. Why? We need to speak about it in another time. But here, if this will work, we can find a solution to about 100,000 of people that they are on the air in Israel. They cannot marry inside the system, the Jewish system. They cannot marry in civil because there is no civil marriage in Israel. And they are in between. They can go to Cyprus. This is not a solution, unfortunately. If we are finding such a solution, this is something which can change the atmosphere. If we can help 50,000, not 100,000, first of all, it's a big mitzvah to save life. It's a wonderful solution. And it will change the atmosphere to make much more positive pressure to solve the problem. Because if you are sitting like this, it's not solving the problem. So, let's see now halachically if we can depend on such a thing, and if we can, what are the next steps to be done to solve that national problem? Okay. So, I will add one more detail which is very interesting. Professor Skorsky and his friends all over the world, they agreed, even Gentiles, without any connection to Judaism, that this group of 40% of Ashkenazi Jews in Europe, they all share in common 4 original mothers, which arrived to Europe about more than 1,000 years ago. And this is really our tradition, that in the end of the period of the Gaonim, 4 big Torah scholars left the Middle East, the Mediterranean shores, and they went to Europe to establish the Jewish Ashkenazi congregation there. But the scientists who made this conclusion have no any connection to Torah or to such a tradition like this. Okay, it's very interesting. We have 4 matriarchs, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah, and a big part of the Ashkenazi Jews in Europe have also new four matriarchs from about 1,100 years ago. Now let's go to speak a little halakha. Let's go now to the second page. The first one was most in English, the second one is in Hebrew, but I will explain everything in English. Let's go a little to another area and another part of DNA test in halakha. I'm speaking now in the very short time that we have, some few minutes regarding the aguna problem. Today, there are agunot, unfortunately, and it's not good. But most of the agunot are not because the husband disappeared. The husband is existing, and we know who is it for sure. But for some bad reasons, somebody is paying a very, very painful price. But in the time of the Gemara and the Mishnah and the Rishonim, and most of the Achronim, the problem was when the husband traveled and he disappeared. And the question was, if we can give the widow a halakhic certificate that she is really a widow and not an aguna. So, let's see the first halakha which appears on source number 4. The Gemara in Masechet Yevamot, source number 4, is telling us this general halakha. And you know what, I will not read it in Hebrew, I will explain it immediately in English. We have two halakhic terms, מים שיש להם סוף and מים שאין להם סוף. A small lake, not like the lakes in Torornto, but let's take a very famous lake, the Kinneret. The Kinneret is under the definition of מים שיש להם סוף. If, חס וחלילה, a boat is sinking with the people inside the Kinneret, and we are making a search all over the beaches around, and we are not finding the people, we can say for sure, unfortunately, these people is not more alive. Because if they were outside of the water, for sure we could find them. But if we are speaking about a huge place, the Mediterranean, the Pacific, the Atlantic, the lakes in between the States and Canada, that you cannot make a search on every beach. This is מים שאין להם סוף. And if חס וחלילה a boat is sinking and disappearing, we cannot depend on the majority. What is the meaning? Rov, majority, is something that we can depend on it in many issues. And we have a majority that if somebody was on a boat or a ship, and the ship sank in the water, and is had the chance to go out to the seashore, to the beach, the big majority of the people will find the nearest public phone and they will call home. I am here. Normal people, this is the way. So, even in מים שאין להם סוף, we have a majority. If somebody didn't call all the long tree last month after the disappearing of the ship, we can say, we can depend on the majority to say, is not more alive. But the halakha says that lechatchila we cannot depend on rov. to make an aguna free. We cannot depend on rov. This is the halacha. And I'm not going now to explain all the details because Siman Yud Zayin in Shulchan Aruch Ibn Ezer is the most longest and difficult Siman in the Shulchan Aruch. Okay. Now let's go to source number 6. In source number 6, we are speaking about 2 situations. One situation is that we know that the husband of a woman disappeared. And then we are finding a body. We cannot recognize the face. But in the pants of this man, inside we found a wallet. Inside the wallet there was a driver license with the picture of the man who disappeared. Halakha is saying you cannot depend on it. Why? Because maybe he found it, maybe he stole it. We are not sure that this body and this wallet belongs to the same person. It could be. It's reasonable, but it's not enough. But if this husband unfortunately had 6 fingers, not 5, and this body which we found, and we cannot see the face, have also 6 fingers, we can say, we can depend on this, what we call halachically siman muv'ak, and to tell this wife, unfortunately, we have 2 news. One is bad and one is good. The bad one is that your husband passed away. The good one is that we can tell you that you are halachically a widow and you are not in jail for all your life. So, halachically, we can conclude that to make aguna permissible to remarry, we cannot depend on rov, on majority, but we can depend on siman muvak, on a proof under the title siman muvak. Now, let's go to DNA test. Not empty DNA test. DNA test. Let's say that this husband has a normal body, 5 fingers, not 6. But we took his brush, Mizrachi. We took one of his hairs and we made a DNA test to this part of his body which was at all. And we are making a DNA test to the body. Even if we cannot recognize the face, we can say for sure, if it's matched, that this is the person. One of the members of the staff of ERETZ HEMDAH is Rav Rabinovich, your former rabbi. Together with him, we have another staff member, Rav Zalman Nehemiah Goldberg, the famous one, the son-in-law of Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. Rav Zalman Nehemiah Goldberg wrote years ago that DNA test is siman muvak, and we can depend on DNA test as a siman muvak to free an aguda. Okay, this is the first, I will call it, floor of the halachic building. Now let's go to the second floor. Let's speak now not regarding an aguna, but regarding recognize somebody as a Jew. If you will take a look on source number 7. These are the words of Reb Zalman Nehemiah Goldberg, which I explained briefly. Now let's see source number 8. In source number 8, we have the famous Gemara. And I will summarize for you the Gemara briefly. Somebody, a Gentile, he heard about a riddle, a rumor, that the Jews is celebrating every year in a wonderful meal. They are calling it Leil Seder. And they are eating the best meat, Korban Pesach. So this Gentile came to Yerushalayim. Every Pesach, he kept only one day. And he came to a Jewish family and he said, I'm also Jewish. I would like to participate in your Seder. And they accept him. Then he went back home to the area of Netzivim, and he is telling jokes about the stupid Jews. Every year I'm coming, I'm telling them that I'm Jewish, they accept me, and they got the best part of the Korban. So Rabbi Yehuda was the rabbi of Netzivim. And he heard about these shaykhs, and he invited him to his home, and he asked him, are you enjoying the meal with the Jews in Yerushalayim? He said, wow, the best one. And you know, the wine of Leil Seder is also, the Israeli wine is terrific. So Rabbi Yehuda asked him, which part of the lamb you got? Did they ever give you to eat from the aliyah? Say no. So he told him, next time when you are going to Yerushalayim, tell the family to give you only from the aliyah. You want really the best of the best. Okay, he went next year to Yerushalayim, and he told the family, you know what? You are liars. You are telling me every year that I am a special guest and you are giving me the best part. This year I want the part of the aliyah. And every Jew knows that aliyah is something that you are sacrificing on the altar. You have no permission to eat it. It's chelev. So they asked him, why do you want dafka from the aliyah? And he answered, Rabbi Yehuda from Netzivim, Rabbi Yehuda ben Betera, he gave me this advice. And they understood that Rabbi Yehuda ben Betera is not dealing with jokes. They made a deep search and they found that he is a Gentile, and this was the last time that he ate from Korban Pesach. The question is, how they accept him every year? And the answer, as you can see at source number 9 is, and source number 10 is, that they were depending on majority. The majority of the people who are saying that they are Jewish are really Jews. Because normal Gentiles are not coming and saying, I'm Jewish. You know, in our generation, we cannot depend on it. Because many Gentiles have very good reasons to say we are Jewish. If you will ask in Africa today, and you will make a poll, and you will ask, are you Jewish? 99% of the Africans will say, for sure. So this majority don't work today. But on the time of the Gemara, and along the Jewish history, the majority, the big majority of people who say, I'm Jewish, were really Jewish. So they depend on the rov, on majority. So it's enough to depend on Rov to accept somebody as a Jewish. So now, what about Siman Muvak? Let's make a Kal Vachomer. If regarding Aguna, majority is not enough, but Siman Muvak is enough to accept somebody to Am Yisrael, if majority is enough, if Rov is enough, Kal Vachomer that Siman Muvak is enough, because Siman Muvak is stronger than majority. So, if we conclude that DNA test is Siman Muvak, if anti-DNA test is also acceptable according to Halacha, it's also Siman Muvak, and we can depend on it to accept people who are inside this group, which I spoke, as Jews with this test. And today we can offer. It's a very cheap test. To these 350,000 of citizens to come and to make such a simple test. And for 40% from them, it will solve the problem. And what is nice in the solution is that if somebody will get out negative in the test, it's not making him less Jewish. Because 60% of the Jews in Europe and more in the Jewish world don't have this sign, the empty DNA sign. It's something which can only bring people in, it cannot take people out. So this is a Torah and Mada solution. It's an elegant solution. It's solving the problems of conversion in a way that I will call it elegant way. And it can change the atmosphere. And now we need to go through a process. And now, please.
I assume that the sum of these 350,000 Russians are not Ashkenazi but Sephardi.
So I said it's not a solution for everyone.
So the result will be less than 40%.
Okay, it will be only for 50,000 of Jews. Great! You know how many Jews went via the process of Batei Din Legiyur in the last 30 years? Less than a third of it. Please.
Are the 350,000 interested in this?
If it will come from the state of Israel in a good atmosphere and they will know that they can only win, they will take it. Why not? It will help them. Many of them won't say that they are Jews, but the rabbinic courts is not accepting them because they have no proofs. Please.
I'm interested to hear, once you have the science underhand, how you go about your methodology for the Gedolim, and specifically the Haredi Gedolim, because otherwise you end up in a situation like Haraf Druckmann, where everything was fine, 10 years later, retroactively, everything is no longer fine. So how do you prevent the Gedolim in 10 years' time?
I will answer it. As Israel Dov explained, the position, the halachic position of ERETZ HEMDAH is very strong. Even what you call Gdoilim, something that I don't want to put now on the table and to discuss it. Even the Haredi Torah world is appreciating very, very, very much ERETZ HEMDAH and the Torah of ERETZ HEMDAH. And everyone in the rabbinic field all over the world knows that the level of Torah studies in ERETZ HEMDAH is the highest in the world. And they appreciate us, and I will tell you something. Even the Eda Haredit and Rav Karelitz and Reb Azriel Auerbach and others are sending their people to the Batei Din of Eretz Chemdah, because they know that they are the highest level of Torah and the most, I will call, not only the highest level of Torah, but the highest level of ethical principles and professional in the world. And I will tell you without any name that one of the Dayanim of the Badat Ha'edah Haredit B'Yerushalayim came to the Beidin of Eretz Chemdah to sue someone 3 months ago. Like everything. It's a challenge, it's not easy, but you can do it because it's something which can help people. It's not to ignore people, it's not to insult people, it's to help people. And this is really what we want to do, to help people who have no proofs that they are Jews to be accepted, fully accepted by the Israeli society and the Jewish nation. We need also to pray. This is something that I did mention.
Yeah.
After this all professional work, we need also to pray like in everything.
One last question just to ask.
Please.
Zalman Nechemia Goldberg's svara on Simon Muvah.
Yes.
How did he derive? Was that derived from Rove also, or was that
No,
based on
it's
Simon?
only on Siman Muvah. But I will tell you something. Rav Ovadia Yosef,
Yeah.
he wrote that today, even in Mayim she'en lahem sof, if somebody disappeared, it's like Mayim sheyesh lahem sof in the time of the Gemara. Why? Because today you cannot disappear. You are using your credit card, we catch you. So he wrote in his books that even today, what was the majority in the time of the Gemara is stronger today because it's very, very difficult to disappear today. You can see it in source number, yes, source number 7 down in the notes. Please.
The Rav said that today we don't rely on Rov.
Yes.
But
Because there is no love
But if
today.
somebody walks in a shul and says they are Jewish or they are Kohen, don't we say Chazaka he is? What do we do?
You are asking a very interesting question. If he looks like a, it's it's a very problematic thing which I say. But today that a Gentile will come to a shul and ask to be a Kohen, you can also depend on Rov. But the best thing is to tell him, be aware, today to be a Kohen is an obligation and you will pay a price for it in the future if you could. But if somebody is coming and is saying, my father was a Kohen, we will accept him also as a Kohen.
I guess it depends for what purpose. If a person is coming to get married,
No,
because
this is
he says-
it's another. He
if
said
he's
about
coming
the
to a shul,
blessed.
he wants shlishi, then it's
Yes.
good, right?
You know that somebody came to the shul and the rabbi asked him, are you Israel, Kohen or Levi? He said, no, I'm Shishi. In Nusach Ashkenaz, he said, I'm Shlishi.
That's cute.
Toda rabah. Thank you very much. I guess everybody can continue discussions with Rav Carmel, and I guess, Michael, there's dessert, it looks like.
There is here, please, everybody.
Thank you very much. Eretz Hemdaah and Rav Carmel. Rav Carmel's family, interestingly, made Aliyah to Israel together with the Talmidei Hagra. So goes back probably about 160 years. More. 140? 200, excuse me.
6.
Okay. So the
1808.
Rav's family has made Aliyah with the period when with the Talmidei Hagra. Rav Carmel's grandfather, I'm told, and we're not going to hold this against him, was the Rav of Mea Shearim. And you've come a long
The
way.
Zionists.
You've come a long way.
They made a long way to the right. We stay in our place forever. Bezrat Hashem.
Baruch Hashem.
He established the Mizrachi in Yerushalayim in Yeshivat Mea Shearim.
So we've come full circle. Rav Carmel's grandchildren are 9th generation Yerushalmi. His grandchildren are 9th generation Yerushalmi. Very good. So Rav Carmel studied in the yeshiva in Kiryat Arba. He later on became a ram there, and recognized that the yeshivot Hesder and our yeshivot, the Dati Leumi yeshivot, really need strong leadership and really need strong ramim. And therefore, together with Rav Ehrenreich, one of the ramim at Yeshivat Kerem B'Yavne, established ERETZ HEMDAH, which is really, I would say, the pinnacle of the Dati Leumi yeshivot, the Dati Leumi kololim, the Dati Leumi Batei Midrash. The purpose of establishing ERETZ HEMDAH was really to educate the educators. And every graduate, every student at ERETZ HEMDAH has already gone through Hesder. Every student at ERETZ HEMDAH has already received his Yore Smicha, has served in the army. Some of them have already started or completed some sort of academic degree as well. But really, this is the top cream of the crop of our community's educators, our community's Talmidei Chachamim, our community's future Dayanim and future Roshei Yeshivot and future Ramim. Therefore, for me particularly, I know that when we talk about how we can assist and how we can support and how we can really enforce, when you're talking about ERETZ HEMDAH, you're really talking about helping the entire tree. Because by supporting ERETZ HEMDAH, you're really supporting all of our institutions and all of our communities, because they later on go out and they participate in community work. In fact, one of the requirements of ERETZ HEMDAH is that for each student, in addition to his studying, to his starim and his shiurim, he also has to do 1 day a week community work. And that is for the purpose also of training, but also a feel of giving something back to the community while they're still students. The curriculum at ERETZ HEMDAH is basically 7 years, and at the end of the 7 years, they receive their Yadin Yadin, and I'm told that the Yadin Yadin exams are done by the Rabbanut Rashit, and I'm told that the graduates of ERETZ HEMDAH are always in the top 10% of those that are taking the tests, the Yadin Yadin test, the Dayanut tests at the Rabbanut. ERETZ HEMDAH also has a few other functions. One of them is the Beit Din Gazit, which is a Beit Din Lememonot, and they deal there with Inyanei Memonot. In addition, they also have certain forms like Heteriska and things like that. I can tell you that this is a little plug for Terraformer from my company, but we use the Heteriska of Gazit from ERETZ HEMDAH when we do our business activity. As well, ERETZ HEMDAH also serves the Rabbanim from all over the world. They have a hotline for Rabbanim in different communities around the world that contact ERETZ HEMDAH with various types of halachic questions, and they've compiled all of those questions, and they're very contemporary, fascinating questions, but the answers are even more fascinating, and the way they answer the questions, their approach to answering it is equally fascinating, and they've compiled all of those questions into a series of books called Marah Bazak, and I think now they're working on Tet, on the 9th volume of Marah Bazak. So that's just a little bit of what I know about ERETZ HEMDAH and about Rav Carmel, and the most fascinating thing is his shiurim.
I would like to thank you, Me'omka Deliba. Thank you so much. Wishing you that your home will be always full of Torah and Maaseh Tovim. I would like to thank the Mizrachi for always helping all over the year, not only when I'm coming. Thank you so much to the old people of the Mizrachi. It's really a real partnership, and I'm paying for it. Every week, Mr. Kurt Rothschild is coming to ERETZ HEMDAH to learn, and it's my responsibility to take care about him, and I'm trying to give the Mizrachi back a little. It's our pleasure and it's our zchut that he is coming every week, like not a Swiss clock, but as a Frankfurt clock to ERETZ HEMDAH. Baruch Hashem, all of us are wishing him not more than Ad 120, healthy and doing good things for Am Yisrael. Thank you so much, Rabbi Korapkin, for participating and giving me also the opportunity to speak tomorrow at your shul. It's always a pleasure to be with you. And אחרונים חביבים, משפחת מאיר, it's always a pleasure to be with you. And it's always a pleasure to see all of you. I'm really, because of all these wonderful friends, I'm feeling almost at home, especially this year, when I brought with me one of the graduates of ERETZ HEMDAH, Rabbi Ofer Livnat, who is a graduate of Rabbi Rabinovich Yeshiva, Ma'ale Adumim, the Esther Yeshiva, and then he married our daughter, and Baruch Hashem. And when Isador spoke about the 9th generation Yerushalmi, we are speaking also about their children, and then he came to ERETZ HEMDAH, he graduated ERETZ HEMDAH, he got his Yadin ordination, and he's serving as a Dayan in our system of Batei Din ERETZ HEMDAH Gazit. He's also teaching in the Esther Yeshiva of Ma'ale Adumim, and most of the week he is teaching groups of rabbis in ERETZ HEMDAH. I asked him to come with me, that you will enjoy also to see the fruits of ERETZ HEMDAH. Thank you so much for coming.